going on? Good afternoon. Well, actually, good evening. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to the Lethal Truth, where the truth that set you free by any means necessary. Of course, I'm talking about mentally. I can also talk about physically, depending on your situation. Like I always say, you can be incarcerated, and I can say something that's dealing with law, and you can go in the library, you can find a case law that can get you home. I hope everyone is doing good. What's going on, Monica? What's going on, boss lady? Here for the knowledge piece. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as soon as you step in. Please hit that like button as soon as you step in. Hit that share button. We're gonna wait for about a minute. Get some people to tune in. Of course, you know I got a good one for you today. We talking about the Diddy verdict. We talking about everybody talking about the Diddy verdict. Even the victims, so-called victims, is talking about the Diddy verdict. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna definitely get into it. We're gonna get into what it means. Like I said, some people feel like it wasn't a win for him. Some feel like it was a win for him. So we're gonna show and prove if it's a win for him or it's not. For me, I feel it's a win. So we're gonna wait. We're gonna give it a minute. You know that. I'm gonna drink my Hawaiian punch water. You know what I'm saying? Got that cold water. There's nothing like some cold water to keep you hydrated. It was funny because the other day I was out Sunday and I was hanging out with some people and it was just hot. I was in the Bronx. It was real hot. Like I'm talking about hot, right? It wasn't a heat wave, but it was hot to the point where, like, it was like humid or stuffy. I can't really describe it because I got allergies and maybe it was the pollen that was making me give me a little difficult breathing with my asthma, but I was definitely dehydrated and I was just drinking water, left to right, water. I think I had about 8 bottles of water. The lady to the point was like, yo, you don't want nothing to eat? I'm like, yo, it is hot. I don't want nothing off the grill that's hot. And then I got to eat and make me more hot. And by the time I got to Brooklyn, I still felt dehydrated. So I went and got some Gatorade. And yo, man, I went and got some Gatorade. I drank half of that, and I had so much energy. I was hydrated. I said, you know what? I'm gonna cut back on a lot of this water. I'm gonna start drinking some Gatorade or some what do you call it? Electrolyte, something like that. Yeah, something to give me some more energy, so I won't be dehydrated fast. Let me see. Stay hydrated, and yeah, you gotta stay hydrated in this weather, especially if you're around my age. I'm 50. And 50 and up, you gotta really stay hydrated. I remember years ago hearing that people was dying. They was getting dehydrated, like 80, 70, and they just died in the house because they was dehydrated. Because sometimes you don't know if you dehydrated. You might feel like your mouth is dry and you could tell that way. But sometimes you don't know if you dehydrate, especially if you smoking weed and you drinking and you just feeling like you're intoxicated and stimulated, but all in reality you dehydrate. You feel like, yo, let me just sit down on this bench for a minute. And you close your eyes and you may never wake up again because you just dehydrated, killed yourself. So you gotta be careful with this weather and be careful with those stimulants too. There was a couple I forgot where it was. They said they was in a movie theater and they took some fentanyl to get high, and they both died together. Yeah, you gotta lay off them drugs, man. So they be lacing this thing, But let's get right into it. Right? So we talking about the Diddy case. So of course, like I've been was telling you in all my contents, let's keep it real. I kept telling you, I say, yo, man, Diddy's innocent. He's not guilty of none of this. They playing games. You know what I'm saying? They lying on him, and we ran through all the transcripts. We seen Cassie was lying. She was down with the what do you call it, sugar, honey, and iced tea. Because I don't want to strike my channel. She was down with the mess. She admitted on the stand that she was calling the escorts for the parties. But she got immunity. See, this is how the prosecution team set this up. They gave all these so-called victims immunity, right, to snitch, to rat on a person that took care of them financially, took them out of the gutter, and gave them an opportunity and put them on a pedestal on the red carpet or so forth for the Grammys and made them something, gave them a household name. Because a lot of people calling Cassie a victim, but out of all of this, out of all the victims, she won. She got 30 million. Talk to me. She got $30 million. And then at the end of her testimony, she said, "I love my past." And now I got that under. I got the acts. You was having fun with the Punisher, the Italian guy, and she was seeing him outside of Diddy. She was seeing other celebrities, Kid Cudi, Michael B. Jordan. She loved her past, which I call her a victim. That's why her bank account is different from yours, because she's smarter than you. That's why she's different. So, all these people got immunity, which gave them a leeway to lie for the prosecution. This was the prosecution setup, was to cheat to get Diddy convicted. So they gave all these people who felt like they was a victim because they wasn't chosen to be Diddy's #1 bedtime story. Let's put it like that, bedtime story. They was bitter. They wasn't Cassie. They was bitter. They wasn't Gina. They was definitely bitter. They wasn't Young Miami, and they definitely was bitter. They wasn't Kim Porter. So they felt the need that they didn't get anything out of it but some hotel excitement, and they wanted to testify against him. But the funny thing is, although they testified against him and committed perjury, which can give you federal time or state time, but they was immune. So the prosecution was like this without telling them, "I need you to lie on him. Say whatever you got to say to convict him." But what they didn't anticipate, and I'm pretty sure the prosecutors did, that after the fifth phone they got rid of, they went all the way back to 2010, 2009, and got up all those texts. See, I told you, don't be believing that you could delete texts and it's over. And they brought it all back and threw it all in their face. That's why the jury was laughing. They found it comical. It was like, "Yo, what the hell we doing here? We hearing about Astroglide and hotel tubs with baby oil. What is kind of sex trafficking? I ain't never heard no sex trafficking case like that." But let's get to it. So like me and everybody else, we was waiting on the verdict. We was like, yesterday, yo, it's going to be on, and it was deadlock. They had a deadlock. They said jury 25 was acting up. We don't know, what was going on in jury 25 mind. They probably was saying he probably was saying innocent on all counts. We don't know. A lot of people were speculating, saying that he was acting difficult. He wasn't abiding by the rules. He made his decision from the tape. That I don't know who said that, because the jury didn't come out and say that. They couldn't speak. Nobody knew what went on in that room but the jury. But we're going to hear everything now, because after the jury has now been excused, the judge already said you could talk to the press all you want. So by tomorrow this week, we definitely going to get some live excitement from certain juries, because they're going to want to make money like the OJ juries who took, they wrote book, who took interviews and got paid for it. I don't even know why Shorty from Danity Kane. Is it Danity Kane? Yeah, or Danity 6. I think it's Danity Kane, the Caucasian female Aubrey. She's still over there doing interviews for money. Talking about, I hope they find him guilty. She said this last week, "I hope they find him guilty. Don't let him out because I'm afraid for my life." Nobody's even thinking about you. The prosecutor wasn't even thinking about you. That's why they didn't call you to take the stand. So in the process, while I was doing this content, Diddy was found not guilty. No, excuse me, I won't say not guilty. They dismissed the kidnapping charge. Yeah, Danity Kane. Thank you, Monica. Danity Kane. They dismissed the arson charge. Of course, there's nothing saying that Diddy was there. It was just hearsay saying Kid Cudi had a conversation with him, and he assumed. This is what he said. He said, after that conversation, I assumed it was Diddy because my car was on fire and they broke into my house. Then we couldn't find out his door was open. So there's no breaking and entering, maybe trespassing, which is not even a misdemeanor. You know what I'm saying? They say they found cocktail with a female fingerprint. So we know Diddy ain't no female. What fingerprint was that? Maybe a bitter girlfriend. Maybe it was Cassie. We don't know. Then they said the person that went into the house put the dog in the bathroom and started opening up female girls. Let me tell you something. Guys going to anybody's house, we're not opening up no female gifts. We know what female gifts look like when it's, you know, tied up in a bow and gift wrap. We know what a guy gift looks like too. So we ain't opening up no female gifts unless you're a real burglar. And if you are a real burglar, you ain't gonna take the time up opening no gifts in no house. You just put it in the bag, you out. Just like what's that movie? The Next Friday? You know what I'm saying? Santa Claus, he was just taking everything. But lo and behold, they dismissed the kidnapping charge because he didn't kidnap nobody. You know, she admitted to that. She admitted she went in Capricorn Clark. She admitted that, you know, she went and did the polygraph freely for 5 days. She admitted that she wasn't really kidnapped based on her description to Kid Cudi's house because she had a cell phone. Kidnapped people don't have cell phones. And then when she alleged to say that she spoke to Lord London, the first thing she said was, we were speaking about mountain lions, but you was kidnapped. So that charge was dismissed. The sex trafficking charge was dismissed because he ain't bringing nobody from point A to point B and selling their bodies for financial gain. That's sex trafficking. So that was dismissed. So what we had was count one was the racketeering, which was the big charge. That was just life, period. That's the charge that mafia bosses get, cartel bosses get to further their enterprise with criminal activity by getting illegal money in illegal ways to further their criminal enterprise. Sean Diddy Combs will have a criminal enterprise. We know him as a dancing MF. He take that. He dancing, he on the stage with his white hat. You know what he's doing. They can't even rhyme, but he got people to write songs for him, and he was making hits. That don't sound like racketeering to me. They found him not guilty, which of course, everybody knew that, right? The second count was sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. This pertained to Cassie because they put it in parentheses. Cassie. Well, we know that wasn't no sex trafficking there because Cassie was the one calling up the Mandingos. She was calling up Punisher and Allen, and she was decorating sometimes the hotel rooms with the baby oils and the Astroglide and the scented candles, making it all romantic for the escort that come in, and Diddy will come out in his masquerade, his masquerade face, what they call it? Well, masquerade mask, excuse me. And he will come out butt naked, glycerin and all in baby oil, and he will be stroking himself. See my pineapple shirt? See, in that lifestyle, that is called a voyager. That's what they do. That's why Diddy say, yo, I'm a swinger. He is, because he has a couple. I mean, he's pretending to be a couple with Cassie. Actually, they were a couple because she said she loved him, and he said, I love you. You don't love someone you sex traffic. You sell them to make money, but they were in love and they were in a lifestyle. Then yes, she said, hey, it got a bit too much. And, he wanted it every week. In his lifestyle, that's what they do. Some people do it once every 6 months. Some people do it when they can. Some people pop off at every party. They get that flyers in their hand, and they going to the parties. They going to freak off. This is what they do in this lifestyle, upside down pyramid. That's what Diddy and Cassie was about. So it wasn't no force because she said she was with it. There was texts from her going back and forth, said, I can't wait for next week. She even said after the domestic violence dispute on that Friday, that same day when she went to her movie premiere with Puff on her arm, her boyfriend, her lover, not her sex trafficker, when she got home, she texted him the next day and said, I can't wait for next week, but I don't want it to be like Friday because they had an incident. So they had to rule out count 2, sex trafficking, right? Then they had transportation to engage in prostitution. They, parentheses, Cassie. I don't think it's so much that they used her for prostitution because he never paid her for any sexual favors. But they tried to say that being that she was with Sean Diddy Combs and she was calling the men for her to excite her and him because he's a voyager. So he will have her, allegedly, this is what they're trying to say, that he would make her call these guys up, and these guys will come and they will have a sexual escapade with her while he's there stroking himself, relieving himself, enjoying himself. And then after that, his explosion, he would tell the guy to leave, and he will probably give them a tip, 1,500 in the envelope. Sometimes she would give it to the guy, and then they will have their own thing going on. Even I think even if it wasn't the Punisher, but it was one of the other guys that actually said he got jealous because he started feeling Cassie, which is interesting because every man that was with Cassie, they was feeling her, man. You ever seen the interview with Cameron in one of the male escorts? He was like, yo, dude, she got some good, because it seems like everybody was with her was going through something. You had Kid Cudi, you had the other male escorts. They were saying that they felt jealous that after they did what they did with Cassie, and Diddy jumped in and got it on with Cassie, they felt the way. But that's how it is at swinger parties, LS parties. This is what they do. This goes on right now in every state. Every state. You name the city and you name the state, that's what is going on. They even have, every year they have hotel takeovers where they take over 4 or 5 hotels filled up. All the rooms is open. When the room doors is open, that means everybody could come and you welcome. Do what you want to do. Just do it respectfully. If the doors are closed, that means you're not welcome. This goes on in every state. Hugh Hefner was the best at it. He had tunnels going through his house. How come he ain't in Diddy's shoes? Because Diddy wanted to make a revolutionary statement. So they found him guilty on that, which is the Mann Act. But they found him also not guilty in the sex trafficking by force, which is count 4, along with count 2, by fraud or coercion with Jane Doe. Because Jane Doe, why they found him not guilty on that count, is because not only he was still paying her mortgage $10,000 more while he was locked up, she was already doing this with other celebrities. Talk back to me. So in other words, everybody in this, and I won't say everybody in the industry, but everybody in this sort of lifestyle was enjoying her, and she admitted that. So this is why the jury was laughing, like, wait a minute. And then she was saying that he threatened her life, he hung her over the balcony, she named all the dates, and guess what? All the dates that she named, he was on tour in New York. She's saying this was going on in LA. The jury's looking at Diddy and looking at her like, what the hell is going on? This is some bull crap. So they found him not guilty with Jane Doe. But again, along with count 3 and count 5, transportation to engage in prostitution. In other words, even though the male escorts will get up there and say, I'm not a prostitute. And they said that blatantly on the stand, I'm not a prostitute. They said, what did they say? I'm an escort. I just get paid to make people have fun, however they want to have fun. In other words, what they're trying to say as an escort is different from prostitution. Prostitution, when you pay them, they only come from one particular thing, sex. Either you want oral, either you want it, however way you want it. But it's pertaining to sex. They ain't got time to sit there and talk to you. Some will just to get the money, but escorts is different. Some celebrities hire male escorts just to do the red carpet because they want a handsome man on their own. That doesn't mean, escorts doesn't mean prostitution. See, in your vanilla world, and not this world, you look at it like that. You would say, yo, nah, that's prostitution. That's not prostitution. They just hiring them from a good time. Now, if the requirement concerns like, listen, I want to do this, then the male escort say, hey, I'm about that too. Let's go. They even got gay male escorts. Come on now, talk to me. You acting like this is something new. This ain't new. All these celebrities did that. It's just that Diddy was the face of everything because he's the celebrity. He's the man with the keys to the city. You understand? So they came after him because of DeLeon thing with the alcohol, and then the political thing. He want to make a political black party. So now they just tarnished his name. So they found him guilty on that, right? So everybody thought, oh, he's going down. It's over. He found guilty on 2 counts. But they dismissed the RICO charge. The RICO charge in a sex trafficking charge automatically held life. So when Diddy was found out guilty, they said, he looked at each juror and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. He was crying. He got on the chair, got on his knees and started praying. Everybody was dancing and people was like, wait a minute, what the heck is going on? Why are he so happy? The prosecution was crying. Oh my God. They was crying. They was hurt. You know why they was crying and they was hurt? Because they know what you didn't know, because most of you don't know the law. They realized they was beat. They went through all of this and Diddy could get nothing but almost time served. Let me show you. The maximum penalties and expected sentence, right? This is the federal guidelines. This is not, this is, the shirt, oh, the shirt is fire. Yeah, check me out, check me out. Sharing is caring. Oh, it's acts, it's boundaries. See, that's what Diddy and them was doing, it's boundaries. That's another thing. Y'all was talking about, oh, Diddy gay, Diddy was doing this to a man. I ain't hear none of that. I heard Diddy had more women than some of you dudes. Talk back to me. Not only did he have more women than some of you dudes, he had more women that was better than all the females you had. Talk to me. He got baby by a young man. I mean, come on now. He was getting, look, 50 Cent right now is so mad that his baby mama was coming over to give Diddy free calls. While he was trolling Diddy and saying all this to Diddy, Diddy was making his baby mother give the child up for the nanny instead of maybe sometimes 50 or whoever. And she was coming over there and she was having oral conversations with Diddy. Come on now. You can't tell me that man 50 ain't mad. He mad. I know I'll be mad. I'm talking all this and all of a sudden you invaded my house. You invaded my home. You don't even know if they were doing something while they was together. That's why Diddy really never responded to it, because at the end of the day, Diddy was like, I got the last laugh. But then look, so under the federal guidelines, not your opinion and what you feel, or the state guidelines, we're talking about federal guidelines, right? The maximum penalties expected in a sentence. Statutory maximum for his charge is up to 10 years per count. So he was found guilty on 2 counts, which means theoretically total of 20 years if served consecutively. But that's only if you have a record. See what I'm saying? You have to have a record already. You have to have a felony already. I learned this watching other brothers that came home from the penitentiary on YouTube, and they were talking about their content, and I never knew that, like, if you have felonies in the state and you get locked up in the feds, they will count that. You see what I'm saying? They will say, well, that's state stuff, but yeah, we still going to count those felonies, and your minimum sentence for a cop-out could be 50 years. That's why most dudes will go to trial like, yo, what, 50 years a cop-out, 20 years a cop-out, y'all might as well go all the way. But here's Diddy, he don't got no record. Yes, he was charged in the past. Was he ever convicted? No, not even probation. So he's a first-time offender, right? So prosecutors know that. This is why they're crying. So prosecutors are seeking a sentence in a range to 51 months to 63 months, which is a total of about 4.5 to 5.5 years. They went through all of this for 4.5 to 5.5 years. You think they not mad? And they pissed off. They was crying. You know why else they was crying? Let me tell you why else they was crying. The defense attorneys argued for a much lighter sentence, estimating around 24 months, which is 2 years, or possibly just time served. He's already been detained for about 10 months. He go back to court in August because he was denied bail. They was trying to give him bail because it's like, yo, man, let him stay out in the streets while he's enjoying his life with his family before you sentence him, because all you're going to give him is either 2 to 4 years and his time served, and his time is still running. So by the time he go to court and get sentenced, he got 13 months in. What's 2 years? For those of you, for Diddy, it might be a little bit stressful because he's not used to that type of life. Some of us who've been incarcerated, we are used to that type of life. We do, this is a guy favorite line or female favorite line that been incarcerated. What? 2 years? I'm gonna do that standing on my head. What? 2 years? Man, I ain't doing no program. I'm going to my cell. I got the TV, I got packages, and I'm gonna get high the whole time. I'm not doing nothing. That's it. I got 2 years. That ain't nothing. And you already got 10 months. So how much more longer you got? Come on now. So they mad. So they wanted to, the judge, he already said, yo, listen, give me a motion for a bail hearing. So in my head, I was like, oh, he definitely gonna get bail, because he offered to give Diddy bail by saying, give me a motion for bail. Diddy offered 50 million. They didn't want to take it. He wanted the house arrest, the ankle bracelet, all of that. They didn't want to do that because they thought they had a case. You know what? Now they said, now we're gonna give you 1 million. Meanwhile, he was sitting in jail. He made 6 million. Yo, that man is a hustler, boy. I care not. That man is a hustler. Yo, he made 6 million sitting in jail by just renting his Learjet. And he made, I heard, another 4 million just renting the mansion that he took off the market. Remember, he put that mansion on the market for 60-something million to get bail. And they don't want to give him bail. And once he got his top lawyers, he was like, oh, whatever they told him, he took that thing off the market. He was like, I know I'm coming home. He knew it was coming home. So now he started renting out. So he made approximately 10 million. How much he gave Cassie? 20. He made half of that back. It ain't nothing. And he gonna make more because he got investments, right? Now, the sentencing guidelines, as noted by legal experts that's dealing with federal cases, these legal experts, right? The sentencing guidelines in the feds for Diddy case suggest something closer to 2 or 3 years, depending on the factors like offense details, criminal history, and the acceptance of the crime, right? So he's being charged with the Mann Act, which is the lowest charge on his case. And this is a first offense. So he about already got 10 months in. What? That's why he's so happy. So some of you will say, yo, look. Some of you will say, look, Diddy still lost. One of my mans up there sitting with the drip. That's my brother. I love him. I don't got nothing to criticize him about. We've been together. He know me, I know him. And he said that Diddy lost. He didn't lose, he blew trial. And I don't want my brother to take this in the wrong way. When you've been incarcerated a long time, right? You think like that. Because we're programmed to think like that. Because legally, we say we still blew trial, we still lost. But I'm looking at a civilian aspect. A man that's free in society is not thinking like that. Diddy, that was a big win for Diddy. For one, he made $10 million while he sat up. He beat a RICO charge. You know how hard it is to beat a RICO charge in the feds? And at the same time, they was cheating and they was setting them up to fail because they gave the witnesses immunity and the permission to lie, to say anything so the judge could take. And it was so happened that most of them, including Cassie, helped the defense more than the prosecution. Although all of them is rats. That's what I'm calling. They all rats. Can't stand them. But they still took the initiative to give him a legal. They could have buried him, especially Cassie, because she was a star witness. She could have buried him because everybody was looking for what she had to say. And she said everything contrary to what we thought. Because I even thought, like, yo, Diddy, oh my God, after this lawsuit, and he paid us so fast, she coming to court, it's over. Nah, Diddy ain't got no chance. Well, after I heard her testimony, she was talking about she was calling up the escorts and she was freaking off, and then she was seeing them outside of that, and y'all was saying, oh, he got her drugged up, and her best friend was like, she was using drugs before Diddy. It was just that when she got with Diddy, she started using more harder drugs. You know what I'm saying? To the point where now she was doing it outside of Diddy. She had an opioid addiction. To the point she even admitted on the stand that Diddy sent her to the rehab, and he went to rehab because he OD'd twice, and we never knew this. We never knew this. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? So they helped him out even more. So that was for me, that was a big win for him. He won his life back. They tried to take it from him. They put him in jail. They gave him no bail. He offered $50 million. His passport, he put his house on the market. He had a RICO case that they was trying to take everything that he built, his legacy to leave to his children when he leave this world. These enemies, these 6 white women, try to take that from him, snatched it back. And you trying to tell me that's a loss? Oh, you got to see the bigger picture, man. So what? He blew trap. He ain't getting nothing but 2-3 years. They talking about they don't want him out on bail because they're afraid for his life. What you gonna say when he come out in the next 13, 15 months? Or get time served? What you gonna say then? What you gonna leave the country? What you gonna put a restraining order on him? He ain't thinking about you. He free. He ain't thinking about you. He come in the back and get everything back that he had. My man said, yo, nobody ain't gonna want to do business with him. Or some people gonna want to do business with him. We're talking about America, the land of the free and the home of the rapers. Because when they started kidnapping us, they was raping us from day one. And they still raping people. Financially, economically, politically, pharmaceutically, they still raping us. It gets much deeper. And all these politicians like Trump, they getting arrested for 34 counts of sexual abuse. Biden, they getting, whole family went to jail. Right, and as soon as he get in there, Trump pardons the whole family. Come on, man. Don't give me this crap about Diddy and you anti-Diddy and you feel like Diddy should be in jail. See, this is the thing. You don't know your natural enemy. They doing the same thing that he was doing and even worse. You don't want to talk about Jeff Epstein. He had all the celebrities coming to his island. And Oprah and TD Jakes all of a sudden told me I ain't never been to a Diddy party and all that because you listen in the press and you feel like you gotta say something. But you was there shaking hands with Diddy. You had Diddy in your church. You was taking all his donations then, what you want to call it, the HOE money. You was taking all that in your congregation. You ain't say nothing then. Oprah, you got flight plans where it says you was on Jeff Epstein Island. What you was doing up there with Gab? But now you got something to say about Diddy. You ain't say nothing about that white man. A lot of politicians say nothing about that white man. A lot of you getting on YouTube with all your masquerade fake posters, anti-Diddy posters, and you ain't saying nothing. I could go on your page right now. Go on your page, you will say nothing about these white people. None of them. But you got a whole page and a whole paragraph about Diddy. Oh, man, you ain't even got nothing about Nickelodeon. This man was doing shows for 10 years with all his freaky friends and had these little girls putting their toes in their mouth, squirting lotion on their face, and they would edit it and go back to the office and they would do things to themselves while watching it. These young children. And then when it came out, he made a documentary and sold it. The documentary is on and got 10 million. It still got Nickelodeon on the channel. I don't see nothing on your post about that, but you're talking about Diddy, your own people. You should be ashamed of yourself. You want to be mad because the man want to be freaky? They said there's no freako on Rico. If another said maybe an order of protection, but hearing what Cassie was doing is still hitting him up after all the BS, she still will contact him. That's a fact. They said during the trial, she still reached out to him. During the trial, she still reached out to him. Because she's still in love with him. Her husband was so mad when he left the courthouse. They told him, yo, he left the courthouse mad because of what he heard. He already knew because he was a part of it. He was a trainer. She admitted that he was live having sex with Diddy while she was on a FaceTime with him. He part of the crew. He part of the crew. And he chilling. Trainer, his wife got 30 million. Oh, he ain't going nowhere. See, you don't see the game. You so focused on Diddy. You don't see what Hugh Hefner did. Hugh Hefner, all his girls, he paid, right? He paid. They gave him he gives them allowance every weekend under his conditions. You had to eat what he wanted you to eat. You had the trainer where you work out. You all had to wear the similar dress. You all had to have blonde hair. All the women didn't have blonde hair. And they stayed for the financial gain. And you think that was just it? You think he wasn't having sex with these women? He had sex tunnels that was going to Jack Nicholson and major other A-list movie stars in Hollywood with his mansion. And Diddy bought one of those mansions in Miami with the sex tunnels. That's why you don't hear nothing about it. They mentioned it, remember? But why you think they stopped talking about it? Because you will have to mention Hugh Hefner. And he been doing this for years. How come he ain't up in there? He had mostly all the A-list women with their breasts out on the front cover. Ain't that sex trafficking? Ain't that porn? He had them with their breasts. You know, he had Madonna. He had LaToya Jackson from the Jackson 5, the Jackson family. He had Garcelle Beavis. He had Drew Barrymore. Man, you name it, he had it. And they was all on the front cover. And then when you open the magazine, because I seen it, I was like, what? Let me check this out. They had all the airbrush showing, all their nipples. These is movie stars. How come you ain't say nothing about it? Well, I ain't say nothing because I was enjoying it. So why you ain't say nothing? Since you so conscious out there. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. So now y'all mad at Diddy. I see, don't tell even some people I deal with tell me he should go to jail. I'm saying to myself, I'm looking at some of these dudes like, he should go to jail. Negro, you a drug dealer. You a drug dealer. Another dude say he should go to jail. Didn't you just stab somebody up a couple of days ago? You out here living a life of crime talking about somebody should go to jail. You big hypocrite. I can't believe some of these people. How come they ain't talking about the Alexander brothers? Look at these guys. The trio linked to New York and Miami real estate were arrested in December 2024 and indicted on multiple federal charges for sex trafficking by force, fraud and coercion, conspiracy, inducement to travel for illegal sexual activity. May 2025. That's just right around the corner. A superseding indictment came. That means they already got indictment and the feds found more evidence to indict them, so they gave them another indictment. You understand? Added new charges, including sex trafficking of a minor, based on accounts from at least 6 victims. Minors. All 3 have pleaded not guilty, but they remain in federal custody. Bill has been consistently denied for the courts deeming them flight risk because they were millionaires. But you want to know the only reason why they don't want to give it to them? Because they're flight risk? Because not only they're white, but they're Caucasian Jews. Oh, you be quiet. Yo, I ain't never hear about that. Exactly, you ain't hear about that. Because see, when white people do stuff like this, they don't put it blast, they don't put the blast on the news. And you don't care about it because it don't look like you. So you like, yeah, I don't care about that. But as soon as white people focus on your people, you focus on your people, and now it goes crazy. How come they doing all this and you ain't hearing about it, but you hearing about Diddy all over the news? I mean, talk back to me. You hearing about all the things that Remy Ma is doing, all the things that Cardi B is doing. That ain't new. Wasn't Britney Spears doing that a couple of years with Kevin Federline? Come on now. Wasn't Pamela Anderson doing that? What's that rock and roll dude name? I forgot his name. Tommy Lee, was it Tommy Lee Curtis or Tommy Lee Jones? One of the rock and roll stars. Wasn't what's the name, man? She was on Hugh Hefner's front cover too. Nicole, not Nicole Kidman. Nicole something. Oh man, she died. She OD'd. But she was doing that too. We heard Kim Kardashian was doing that. She got a sex video, made money. You won't call her no hoe. You say, oh my God, she's intelligent. She's a billionaire. She's so smart and white. You give her a gold medal. Wasn't what's the one that was always being with Nicole Richie? The old one always being with Kim Kardashian, the other white girl. Hilton, what's her name? Ah man, Nicole Hilton. No. You know who I'm talking about. She made a whole sex video. She was out partying. She made a sex video with it all squirted all over her face. And you said, oh, it's excitement. That's prostitution. When you go and you pay to have sex online, it's considered prostitution. But in this life, is this an excitement? Is this something that people want to discover and do to have fun? But in the vanilla world, under the law, that's prostitution. That's when Larry Flynn had to go to court to make sure that he could continue his business with the Hustlers magazine. He's the reason why you can see X videos and Pornhub. And oh, don't let me get started with Pornhub. That was a big sex trafficking site. And it's still up. You know why? Because it's owned by Jews. You focus on Diddy. All right? Y'all all right out there? I'm talking too much for you? Now, the Philadelphia grand jury alleges that there was over 10,000 allegations. In 2009, grand jury in Philadelphia uncovered 37 priests. You know, the guys that dress up with the robes that might not have nothing underneath. And Paris Hilton, thank you, Paris Hilton. Oh man. And they calmed down now because people was telling them, y'all looking out here looking real bad. And Paris Hilton comes from a prestige family. She was out here with all the rappers getting passed around. You ain't saying nothing. You just said she outside. She made videos. As a matter of fact, the videos are still up on X videos. What? Yeah, I'm still watching them. What you think I'm a part of? This is my life. Ain't no Frico and Rico. And it's still up there. She ain't put no gag order, nothing. She leaving it up there for people to see. You ain't saying nothing on your Facebook page, right? You ain't saying nothing on your TikTok page. But back to what I'm saying. 37 priests, credibility accused of abusing boys at age 9 to 16 based on hundreds of witnesses, testimonies, and secret church records. Secret church records. This is the church where they have the Bible, the good book in their hand. They stand up there and they open it and say, yeah, oh, the Lord. Sounds like a satanic ritual, right? And then when everything is said and done, their children, the congregation send their children to the all boys rectory, and then they get molested. It was so bad. We had in the hood, we had a joke called, Do you know what time is bedtime at the old boys rectory? They said when the big hand touches the little hand. That's like noon, midnight. They said a broader 2018 grand jury reported expanded this, finding 301 priests accused of abusing more than 1,000 children. 300 they found in 2018, with likely thousands more victims whose cases weren't recorded. Because there's some that had came out years later as adults and said that they was molested and nothing happened. Additionally, the John J. Report 2011 noted 10,606 victims allegedly sexual abuse by over 4,300 priests in the U.S. doxery from 1950 to 2002. Now, what happened to them? None of them got arrested. All church cover-ups, and you focusing on Diddy? You ain't focusing on the church? Where you Christians at? What happened? I thought you believed in a good book. I thought you followed Jesus, but you out there criticizing Diddy. But you get quiet because you ain't got no pull. But you got pull to always knock your people down on social media. You start talking about this on social media, you ain't gonna get no likes. And you might get reported. They shut your page down. So you get quiet because you know you need your meta money, right? Look at this. Remember, I think this was recently, Albuquerque and Finch. In October 2024, the Jeffries, the former CEO of Albuquerque and Finch, along with two others, was indicted under federal charge, including sex trafficking and interstate prostitution. The indictment alleges that from approximately 2008 to 2015, the Jeffries and his associates operated in an international, that means throughout the country, throughout the world, international sex trafficking and prostitution enterprise, recruiting, transporting, and exploiting men across the state and international border. So they coming after the men and after the women, which means they was kidnapping people, right? This was a business. This was a business. Just like the church, the Catholic Church. I'm gonna say that, the Catholic Church. And they said, why no archbishops was arrested? Why? I'll tell you why. They said because the church handling typically involved cover-ups. Church handling typically involves cover-ups, not direct offenses. Bishops was offered transfer problematic priests rather than reporting it. So soon they found their little thing in the, I don't know if it's little. I mean, y'all always was going on Diddy about Tootsie Roll. So hey, they little thing in the little boys, and they get reported. They said, don't worry, we'll send you to another church. And they'll do something over there. And they'll just move them around. Lawsuits and grand jury investigation focused on international capability and organizational cover-ups, and always on prosecuting bishops. I mean, always not always on prosecuting bishops. You see, because the Pope ain't trying to hear that. The Pope runs the Catholic Church. And most of the white people in this country, throughout the world, are Catholics. So you ain't gonna report nothing. They got pulled. This is the Roman government who killed Jesus and then saw that the book can control people and took the book and reworded it in their own version. Now they do cannibalism stuff. Drink the blood of Jesus, eat his body. Then you hear that dirgy song. There's a satanic ritual going on in there. Then they molesting little boys and they're getting away with it with cover-ups. But you focused on Diddy. See how foolish you look? Check your page out. None of this you talking about. But it's been out there. Many church leaders claim they lack the legal authority. Many church leaders claimed they lack legal authority or knowledge requirements to that act. And there was statute of limitation issues that limit prosecution for decades-old abuses, which means some of these church leaders, they got a call, shut up. Hey, on my hand, I can't do anything. I have to listen to whatever that came down from the higher ups. And then some of them were so scared because the mother wasn't saying anything, the fathers wasn't saying anything, because maybe their lives were threatened or their jobs was threatened. So they kept quiet, and then years later, as they're adults, they talk about it, but nothing can happen because of statute of limitations. Check that out. Numerous priests was locked aside or forced to resign, but many survived under church cover and lived out their careers in new parishes. The archdiocese paid out tens of millions and sometimes hundreds of millions in victim settlements. So if the case was too funky, all those donations they had, and all the churches in the country got their own bank. If you want to open a church, you can't go to Chase and none of that. You have to go to a bank of a church, and the church will give you a loan, but you have to follow the guidelines of the preach. Things that'll wake people up. Do the song and dance, boogie, woogie, woogie, and you hear a little sermon for about 15 minutes, and you go back to boogie, woogie, woogie. You come in a church a fool, and then you'll leave a fool again. Or you might have a little spirit in you, but it's not enough, because as soon as you leave the church, you go back to doing what you're doing because there's so much distractions. They ain't trying to preach that word, because the Jesus that I read in the Bible was straight up G. He was kicking in the synagogue. He was turning over tables. He was throwing out the rich, and he was coming to the hood. He ain't go to Rome. He came to his people, and he was going to the hood, and he was talking to the people of the hood. You know, but you criticize people from the hood that come to church with the miniskirts because they're not dressed accordingly. I ain't trying to go too far and too deep, but I just want you to listen. I want you to pay attention. It said leadership changes happened, but typically there were no criminal charges against archpreachers, only civil suits and internal church penalties. This is why you don't hear press too much. But you could see those history channels or those Lifetime channels, but you ain't gonna hear it in the media because most of the Jews, matter of fact, all the Jews that's in power controls the media. So they dictate what they want you to hear. So if they keep putting up Diddy every single day like they have been doing for the past 7 weeks, or you're gonna talk about it, Diddy. Then people who want to get paid by Meta, they make up these fake names or whatever, new fake news broadcasts, whatever, and then they get paid for it. And they make these Canva thumbnails, and they have saying Diddy went at 50 Cent for his baby mother, and then here you go comment and everybody feeding off of everybody, and you getting them paid. You getting them paid. Then you got all these other people now that's anti-Diddy. Right? They hurt right now. Like Tisa tells, everybody that trolls for the prosecution. Because this is how you started hearing everything first. They was trying to criticize Diddy through the media with the prosecution cross-examination. And then you hear them like, yo, Cassie said this, yo, Kid Cudi said that. And you ran with it and you never heard the defense until near the end. Now it's all coming out. Now you like, nah, hold up, wait a minute. This ain't looking too good. This ain't right. That ain't right. But that's what they do when they want to come after you. That's what they want to do when they come after you. They came after Michael Jackson like that. As soon as he went against the powerful Jews of this country that owns the label, like Sony and Warner Brothers, and he wanted his rights, he knew they were stealing from him. Next thing you know, Mike was a pedophile because they know Mike was a big kid. He didn't have a life like us. He didn't grow up where he grew up around friends around the way and grew up with old man. Every time Mike got Christmas gifts, he got a guitar, he got a microphone, he didn't get toys. And then they was always on the road. He didn't have a life where you play. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. When I went to jail at 19, excuse me, prison at 19, jail and prison at 19, my growing stopped. My maturity stopped at 19 because I was in jail. That was a whole nother life that I had to adapt to. I don't really want to get into it because I'm a free man. I don't think like that. But when you come home after doing 16 years, you come at 34. Life now has changed. Now you come home as a grown man, you have a lot of freedom. Now you can have a lot of sex. You can make a lot of money. And you start doing a whole lot of immature stuff because your life has stopped. And this is what Mike was going on. So, like me, I had to mature as time went on. And Mike, he was just a big kid. Come on, man. He was walking around with a monkey. What grown man walks around with a monkey? He had little Webster on his lap. His whole house was an amusement park with lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my, who lives like that? When you're a kid. He had gold cars. He was driving around his house. Grown men don't do that. He was still stuck in a little body because he didn't get a chance to grow. So they said, you know what? Since he involving all these kids to come over and spend the weekend with him, because they were fans. The parents were fans. He was paying them to stay with him. And one of them was the kid from that show, Home Alone, right? And they try to use him at first and say Mike molested you. You gotta slow him down. But the NIGGA is getting, well, ER, because they ain't calling it the ER is getting out of place. He don't know his place. And they try to get him for child molestation and all of this stuff. And took him to trial. And then they say, we want to see a wee-wee. Because somebody described the wee-wee. The mother tried to force her son to say he has a birthmark that he couldn't cover up on his wee-wee. And the child said that, and Mike was like, what? In one of his cases, this was a civil case, matter of fact. And Mike said, no. You know why? You're not looking at my stuff. Hey, give him the 20 million. You know, that kid grew up as a grown man, and he told my mother was a liar. He said, that never happened. He said, Mike never happened. He said, Mike never slept in the bed with us. He said, we'll be on the bed and read books to us, and we'll all have fun and play games. He said, but when it's time to go to sleep, Mike never touched us. Mike was not even in the room. But you always running around calling Mike a pedophile. That's why you had to listen to his song. Sue me, crucify me. You know, what was the song? I know it was sue me, Jew me. They don't really care about us. Sue him, Jew him, because Jews was criticized in the early 20s all the way down to the 50s because, you know, they was from another country. That's how they got into the mob, build their revenue up into the mafia. And now they got out of the hood. Yeah, Brooklyn, that was the Italians and the Jews stomping ground, Brownsville, Crown Heights. And then they gave it to us. Then he said, they don't really care about us. Who's the us? Who are you talking about? Because after he came back from Africa, he was a prince, he started coming out with that. Then he made the video. Do you remember the times that you think it was a song? He's telling you something. Do you remember the times we fell in love? Do you remember the times we first met? And we was in African garment and he had all the mega stars in the video. Mike was telling a message. He was a threat. They had to stop him. They tried to get Prince like that, but Prince, it was kind of hard, man, because Prince was a player. They tried to get Prince. Prince was coming out with the heels, the perm, but every time he turned around, Prince had a woman on his arm. Mysteriously, you know, he went for his rights, his masters. And he said, well, you got to do it after your contract. Come on. Check that out. What the Jews is telling this black man, we own your name. That's why he came out with the name, the symbol. Because he had to change his name. And then he came to the Grammys. I believe he had slave written on his face because he was making all this music and they was getting rich. But you know what? This going to pass for Puffy. This going to pass for Puffy. So I don't know what y'all talking about. His image is hurt. He ain't gonna make no money. Puffy is he's a billionaire. This man made 10 million in prison. How much money you made at home? Don't talk about his career is tarnished. You struggling. on your bills, like me. He ain't struggling. He lit right now. He like, yo, I'm good. And let me tell you something. Told my Puffy wasn't eating good in there. That man's a billionaire. It's always crooked officers in the correctional in corrections. I don't care what federal penitentiary you put them at. You can't even have contact visits in a federal penitentiary. How they getting drugs? Rest my case. You think Puff wasn't getting that fried chicken? You think Puff wasn't eating that curry chicken in the prison cell? Yeah, you sit there and you believe that if you want to. Remember they said Puff was gaining weight. Puff was gaining weight, you know. And Puff gonna get around this, and then you gonna love Puff again. You gonna love him. Because when he get out, Kanye who was the only one coming to see him because Kanye know what was going on because they were trying to do all that crazy stuff to him. And y'all gonna love him. You know why I know? Because when Tupac got accused for rape and went to jail, y'all hated him. Y'all called him a rapist and everything. And then he got a bail hearing. And then he came out and started making some music. And you start talking about West Side. Your pocket's lit. Now Pac got killed, you call him a legend. A hypocrite. Y'all just listen to whatever the enemy tell you to listen to, and then y'all run with it. You said that about Mike Tyson. Oh, he's a rapist. Look what he did. Yeah, he deserved to go to jail. And then he came out with Malcolm X and Che Guevara on his chest. He read some books and got intelligent. And he know, and white folks knew he couldn't control him. All of a sudden, you say Mike was from the hood. Mike is a legend. Mike is a legend. And they try to tarnish him again. I think it was a few years back, he did an interview, and it's sad. It was our own kind, but you know they sent our own kind in there, you know. And he said, Mike, yeah, you know, and you remember a few years back. This is like 2022, and he's like, yeah, Mike, you know, you remember the rape charge you had back in 1995. Mike was like, this is like 30 some years. He was like, you's a piece of, Mike went off on him, cursed him out live. He said, Mike, all right, you know. And he said, no, you's a piece of, he did, I can't really say it, but he cursed that black man out. You gonna bring up some rape case that, by this time, y'all calling Mike a legend. Y'all done made documentaries of him. Y'all done try to make a movie rights, the last one on the HBO. Mike said, that's garbage. I ain't tell them to do that. That's what they do. They like to make movie over your history. That's what they do. That's why I said Puff gonna get around this too. It's gonna be a few years, it's gonna die down, and then something else gonna happen, and then Puff gonna make a hit. He might come home and make a tell-all book, sell it for $50 million and get all his money back. Money he paid his lawyers and everything. He ain't stupid. He gonna get that money back. You think his character. Let me tell you something. Like I said, we live in the land of the so-called free and the home sent. In the land of the so-called brave, in the home of the rapos. Everybody he doing business with is buying prostitutes and escorts and everything. He could be silent partners. He ain't got to be out there with his name. Yo, Puff, listen, we got a multi-million-dollar deal, but right now your name is kind of hot. We're gonna just keep you as a silent partner. Don't worry about it. Because I didn't even know it was a lot of stuff that he was part of until he got locked up, and a lot of people was dropping him because of it. I was like, oh man, I ain't know he had part of that too. They don't care about that. If they did, Nickelodeon be pulled down by now. They don't care about that. He about to make all that money back, and you about to start dancing in the club in a couple of months. See how you said you was defecate. See how y'all defecated on Tory Lanez? Yeah, you should go to jail. Yeah, we did the Megan. Now you up there, yo, Tory, free Tory. He make a hot album in jail. You went and downloaded the same day. Because man, he dropped that. He had 1 million downloads in a couple of minutes. And some of you who wanted him in jail downloaded it. Stop lying. You know you did. You know you did. Now they coming after Tyler Perry. You know why? Tell you why. See, Tyler Perry, yeah, he got some questionable movies sometimes, and understand that he was raised by women, so he made movies on things he seen. But it's okay when he can make movies of destroying the black man's character or destroying the black woman's character. For majority of the movies, he's destroying the black man's character. But when he stepped out of Hollywood and he made his own studio, he started hiring nothing but black people. And specifically, was it Taraji P. Henson made it known that since she got with Tyler, she got paid more than any movie she had. Because any movie she was in outside of that, all the white actors made more money than her, though she was a bigger star. And he said, Tyler, that I made more black people rich in my movies than Hollywood ever did in history. You know what that statement means? It means liberation. We got to come get him. Now all of a sudden you got this white dude talking about he's sexually molested. And he's suing not for 3 million, not for 10 million, but for 260 million. Your booty, your BH ain't that important. For 260. And then after this claim, he went back to work with Tyler. Why would you go back to work? Because you know why they say that? Because this is the easiest thing now. They could come after black celebrities with. He molested me, touched me, he did something wrong. And then they know us black people is going to come after him and we're going to bury him and they're going to sit back and watch it. And then they're going to push the narrative. They're going to push the narrative. I'm surprised they ain't pushing the narrative on Tyler so hard. I'm surprised. But you know who got to be more careful? Cat Williams. You go back and you listen to that Shannon Sharp interview. He said some things, man. He said some things that can really get him hurt. He went way beyond Puffy. Puffy just sued DeLeon. He got that $1 billion. That's why they mad. He said something that can awaken Cat. He said something that can awaken black people. He said they know who we are. We just don't know who we are. Who's we? He didn't say African Americans. He said they know who we are. He said there's gatekeepers in the entertainment world and society. The gatekeepers are the Boulets, the first black fraternity that the white folks said, you could go, boy, and get you an education. So yes, sir, ma. And he came out the house, school, and got an education. As long as he stayed in line. You don't stay in line as a Boule, something can happen to you. Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King was a Boule. He stepped out of line. What happened? That's my case. You got to stay in line. As a celebrity, you got to stay in line. Puff stepped out of line. He was doing this, all these free calls for how long? He was transporting this so-called prostitution or escorts for how long? Why now? Because he came after that billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar company. Start talking about a black political party. Uh-oh. Once you start talking about politics, you start talking about liberating black people. And he said it. We're not part of the conversation, and I don't like that. Look, this Negro talking about he don't like that. We made him into who he is. We knocked on his door. We gave him $100 million. Clive, didn't we do that? Clive like, yeah, man, you know, he's stepping out of line. You don't just give regular black Negroes $100 million to start a label. As long as he stayed in line. Stayed in line. Biggie got killed, he stayed in line. Pac got killed, he stayed in line. And they made him more money in billions and trillions. Well, not trillions, but billions. Same thing with Jay-Z. You got to stay in line. I know Jay want to say something. I know he feel bad like, damn, man, Puff going through all of this. You know what I'm saying? Puff going through all of this, man. That's my man. They all took pictures. They was calling themselves the Four Horsemen. It was Puff, Jay-Z, DJ Khaled, and it was another one. I think it was French Montana or Dr. Dre. I'm not sure, but it was one they called the Four Horsemen, right? Oh, Will Smith. It was Will Smith. They called him the Four Horsemen. They came up with this game called Guts, where they all had a house, and just to get into the game, you had to put up $1 million. Stay in line. Puff stepped out of line. Said we gotta put this Negro back in line. But we ain't gonna kill him because you know why? Puff is smart. He know how to make money. And made 10 million just sitting in jail for 10 months. What? What? Just sitting there and renting out his stuff. And y'all talking about, yo, it's over for him. He made 10 million. You talking about it's over for him? You talking about he coming out and nobody want to go do business with him? Where you bumped your head at? You crazy? They coming after Puff like, yo, man, now that you back in line, build you back up. I don't know. He might say, yo, I ain't messing with y'all. He might say, I ain't messing with y'all. Y'all done did me dirty. They did Muhammad Ali the same way. He was talking all that Nation of Islam stuff. They built them up sarcastically. No, Muhammad Ali said, oh, you revolutionaries. Okay, the draft came in. It's time for you to go fight for war. You got to go fight for America in Vietnam. And I'm glad he didn't, because it probably would have been all his own white soldiers would have murdered him out there. But he said, I don't fight no white man's war. I ain't start the war. That's your war. My war is over here with my people. He took his title. They tried to take his career. He went, he sat up in jail. People criticized him, called him a house Negro and everything. You don't fight for your country. Yeah, they defecated on Muhammad Ali. And then he came home and he knocked some heads around and he got his belt back. Now he's a legend and you all love him. Now you all love him. When it comes to men like that, they become threats. When men like Puffy, they become threats. See Louis Farrakhan, he can't even be on YouTube. They banned him. They said, man, he's reaching too many views. He had more views than any black person you know on YouTube. They said, that's it, no. Too many people listening to him. And he don't need them. He got his followers on YouTube. Whatever he say, that's what they saying. They banned him in France. He said, I don't care, the final call goes in France. I got like 4 pages of my speeches in there. I ain't got to be there, but my speeches is going to France, so you got to think like the enemy. They don't like that. And they don't even say, they don't even really talk about Elijah Muhammad. They keep clear of that. They don't want you to know nothing about that. They thought the movie Malcolm X would have deterred you. All they did was make you more interested. So, oh, no. They ain't talking about Elijah. And they absolutely say nothing about Master Farad Muhammad. Absolutely nothing. Why is that? You know, you gotta listen to that song Jay-Z made with Rick Ross. It's on the Meek Mill album. I know Jay, he wanted to say something. But he gotta play his position. He like, man, I ain't trying to lose everything I work for and I got my family. I definitely don't want to be in a Diddy situation. Listen to what's free. He's telling you some stuff. A lot of songs he's telling you some stuff on the conscience, but he can't go but so far. But that money and that power is controlling him. He won't have that. He don't want to wake up in the tub like Prince. He don't want to wake up in the tub like Whitney. He don't want to wake up in the tub like Angie Stone, people that fight back. And Puff is a perfect example. Try to get at Puff. Try to get at him. Puff was a little bit too small. Or maybe they just wanted to spank him a little bit. Because, I mean, you put 6 white jurors who never held a strong RICO case before like this, a big celebrity like this. You're supposed to be putting vets up in there. Puffy had vets. He had lawyers that beat RICO cases. I'm gonna repeat that. Puffy had veteran lawyers that beat RICO cases, and they put some new jacks up against him. And then they gave a judge who only had 2 years experience as a federal judge. You can't tell me this wasn't a setup, man. Can't tell me they were. If they really wanted to bury Puff, they could have buried them. That case was a circus. Feds don't throw cases like that. Monica said, "You see what they did to Kells in prison. You see, yeah, see what they did to Kells. They did the same thing. You got to go back. You got to go back, kid, to his case. Same thing they did to Puff. Same thing they did to Kells. The difference is Kells like they underage girls. He liked that finer skin, and he paid parents for their permission for him to have that finer skin. And them young girls was down with it. When the money ran out, then they started pointing the finger, and Kel started fighting for his publishing rights. That's why he been crying about in jail. Remember, he just made the song, "Who getting all my money? Who getting my publishing rights? Who's getting my masters?" He's been crying about that for years. So now we got to slow this nigga down. So they gave all the parents immunity because you the ones that sent your children over there across state line to a grown man's house to do whatever the case may be. And you up there talking about you ain't speak to your child in 2 years. What? Picture me. Okay, how much money you have? Picture me letting my daughters, 14, all four, that 14, go to some grown man house across state. You talking about you grooming them to be this, and I'm calling them, and you not picking up. First of all, you taking them across that. I'm going with them. If I ain't gonna be the manager, I'm gonna be involved somehow because I ain't trusting you with my underage. I don't know what's on your mind. You can tell me whatever you want, but I see a lot of movies and I see a lot of history repeating itself. So I'm gonna get involved. If I ain't gonna be a manager, then I'm gonna be somewhere up in there watching my daughters because they ain't gonna be spending the night at your house. They're gonna have their own house, or we gonna have somewhere at a hotel. We're gonna be living out of Airbnbs, but you ain't gonna be having access like that. The parents let that happen. So they gave them all immunity. And they all did interviews. They got paid for and got rich. They sued Kells. They ain't get no money there. Kells moved that money. You think Kells broke if he wants to. Kells ain't broke. He got money coming in. He just gonna have the money he's supposed to have coming. Kells got some money. And I think that, eventually Kells gonna come home. But I let you know all this situation is different. Kells was going after record labels that got money. Tory Lane, he changed the whole face of music, where you could get your own money and then your fans can sell the album they bought for you and make their own money. Where you could cut out the whole record label. All of a sudden, he's working on his appeal. Chris Brown give him $100,000 to make it work. He gets stabbed up in jail by nobody. Murderer that run the street. First of all, they don't even have the same type of past. This Mexican dude is not even from his community. He didn't even have no problem with jail. How he gets stabbed? That was a hit. That's how these people think. They think. So Puff is about to come home. Whether he do 2 years or 4 years or he get probation, he already got almost half of that in if they give him 2 years. Because he already got 10 months in. So by the time he go to sentencing, he got 13 months. So he like, yo, I want to come home, but y'all making it hard. And they probably say, yo, we gotta give the people something. He just beat all these charges. We gotta give the people something. Charges that was coerced. Because like I heard, there was 2 trials. There was a trial that was built on truth, and there was a fake trial that was built on lies. Because every last witness got caught in a lie. Never seen a prosecution set up a case like that. Every last witness lied, all the way down to the LAPD and the forensic experts who said they was missing evidence. What? First of all, you missing evidence in the case, that's an automatically dismissal. But they said, no, we're going to take that out and we're not going to use it. You can't tell me this case wasn't set up. This was a setup to spank Puffy and put him in his position. And he's in his position. He like, yo, I think it. All these so-called friends, Jay-Z, Khaled, and Will Smith, and all of they ain't come see him, they ain't contact him. Nothing. Well, as far as we know, they got an image. They got millions and billions. But Kanye, you can't control him. Kanye's still a billionaire. Y'all don't even know nothing about when it comes to that business world like that. I mean, me neither, but I know a little bit more. You're a billionaire, and then they're telling you you're worth $1 billion, and then Adidas said we're dropping you, and now you're worth 400 million. Worth. That means what you're worth to everybody you're working with or working for. That's it. It's like Cardi B. You're worth 100 and something million. That don't mean you have 100 and something million. You know damn sure Cardi ain't got something million. Let's be honest. She ain't got that. But that's what she worth to white folks. As long as she keep making that music, as long as she keep making a fool of herself on social media to big up her album sales because controversy sells. That's why you see Remy all in the news. That's why you see Clarissa Shields in the news. Now everybody know Clarissa. Why? Controversy sells. You don't hear about Easy the Block Captain in the news. You know why? Because Easy the Block Captain is only worth $10,000. He works at the MTA. Then after that, he goes to Battle Week. What? Turn my music up. No, what he said, turn my mic up. He's only worth $10,000. He's only worth $10,000. So I was laughing when Remy said, that was the brokest dude she ever. This dude worth $10,000. I mean, I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking him because some of us is not even worth $100. So I applaud that brother. You know what I'm saying? But this is what they try to do. They control your career because they want you to make money. Remy went to jail. She didn't have no publicity like that. What gave her that publicity is that assault case. And they like the fact that Pat was running up there. They said, we can capitalize. Yeah. We're going to give you guys an image. Then they clean up their image on Love and Hip Hop. Everybody was acting a fool except them. You ain't noticed that? Because Pap said, yo, I don't want to be like them because we don't act like them. So they try to clean up their image more and get them black. But then they gave them their own show. And we all loved it. We was all inspired. We wanted that. And then got in somebody's ear. Image was over with. And they got Remy all acting crazy in social media. They got Pat acting crazy in social media. You know, I mean, he made his video. I don't think he should have did that, but this is what they wanted. They got Remy acting crazy at the courthouse. You know, not to get off the topic, but this is what they do. They build you up and destroy you. You step out of line, they'll make all the money you want. You are a house Negro. You keep these Negroes out here at bay who look up to you. Once you get an idea outside of this circle, you starting wanting to think you read a Malcolm X book and you're going to get conscious and you turn Muslim and you do this, or you turn Christian and you want to be a word of God and all of that. Don't step to you. See, Will Smith is still in his place. He got his wife. They making his wife look like she's doing all kind of dog meat to him. We don't know what's going on in their household. Maybe the man just want to love his wife. Some things, I ain't gonna lie, some things she did say I was out of pocket because, you know, they live this life. And some people that live this life, they break their boundaries because they are more sexually active than the average person. Things will go left. But I don't want to step out of that. I don't want to step into that. I just want to, you know, let you know that, you know, now that Puff is, you know, only charged with the lowest charge, which is man act, it's about to come home. That's why they all dancing. That's why the prosecution is crying. Tisa tells, what you I ain't see you putting nothing out yet. I ain't see Tisa Tell putting that out yet. What's going on? I've been looking. I've been like, what the hell? I ain't see her. She got quiet. Oh, the judge been sending her threats too. She been lying to her press so she could get views. See, she's one of those people on social media that be making fake pages or whatever and putting out lies just to get views so they can get paid. But we'll see what goes on later on in the future. Since Diddy is denied bail, they won't let him out. You know, I guess they feel that that was enough victory that he had. You know, they want him to sit up in prison, in jail, until October to see how much time he get. But the most he can get for this case, 4 years. Matter of fact, 5 years. And they're not even going to do that because it's his first time. First offense. Never been convicted. Clean record, clean image, help people, charity, everything. They're going to go through all of that. They're going to feel like, judge going to say, I don't see why he has to do all this time for just buying a prostitute. How many of you dudes bought prostitutes? I'm not talking about going to the corner and go getting a female. I'm talking about tricking. Because when you start tricking, that's how you treat a female prostitute. She's going to give you what you want because you're giving her something. Talk back to me. Hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Taking her out, paying a cell phone bill, putting clothes on her back, paying her rent and all of that. That's prostitution. Because now she's going to feel like she got to give it to you whenever you want because you're taking care of her. So they looking at it like, you know what? We ain't going to let this man stay in on jail for buying prostitutes. But that's all it is now. Buying prostitutes. Or renting. So with that being said, I'm going to let y'all go. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to eat me some barbecue chicken my wife made. She always give me a home cooked meal. I remember my last relationship, I couldn't get that. Probably some oodles and noodles like I was in prison or something. But, I'm eating good over here, But with that being said, y'all have a good night and God bless. And I'll see y'all another time. Later.